It's witchcraft.
It's 4:20 a.m. Hi, and welcome to the Stoned Witches Hour. If you haven't been here before, this is where two best friends ended up on opposite sides of the USA and decided to start a podcast. And why did we do that, Shell?
Why not? Well, partially, honestly, truth be told, was because we missed each other.
Yeah, it is. And we wanted to hang out like we used to and tell each other scary paranormal stories and creepy urban legends from all over the United States. So we decided to do that while smoking mass quantities of the devil's lettuce. So normally representing all things creepy in the western half of the USA, but this week I'm stealing an East Coast story. I'm Layla.
And representing the devil's lettuce on the East Coast, I'm Shell.
Well, hey, there's all the sorts of things you can call it other than weed, right?
I haven't heard devil's lettuce in so long, and that just made me laugh.
Either.
That just made me laugh.
Well, good.
I got some good devil's lettuce this time. Holy crap, I'm high.
Nice. I'm very high myself. What are you smoking this evening, Shell?
Okay, so you know how I've been kind of on this like Baker's Eighth kick lately?
Oh, yes.
So they had a different one. This is Kush Mints.
Ooh, love Kush Mints. Delish.
I'm out there.
Nice.
I'm partially here on Earth and partially on a different planet, and I'm loving
Partially in the stratosphere and kind
Right.
of out there. I love it. I love it. I'm smoking some homegrown, some of my Alaskan Thunderfuck.
I love that name.
Don't know what the THC content is, but from what I understand, around 27% is pretty average, and it feels like it's probably right around there. I would say it's a higher mid to a lower really good.
You'd be super proud of me because I get this Baker's Eighth the other
Mm-hmm.
day, and it's really good, don't get me wrong, but I got something else with it and I haven't tried it yet, but I was waiting to tell you about it.
Ooh, what did you get? What did you get?
You know how you have two rules? Rule number one, if it has silver in it, buy it. Rule number
Yes.
two, if it has cheese in it, buy it.
Those are good rules, yes.
This is called Cheese Whiz.
Ooh, I like it. Where's the silver come from?
That was just your first rule.
Okay, so this is a good cheese then. Cheese whiz, huh?
Well, I haven't tried it yet, but it's 29.2, and I think I'm going to save it for our next podcast.
Ooh, I like that. Okay. A nice high THC for Shell. I know you like the big ones.
And like you say, you can't go wrong with cheese.
No, you can't go wrong with a good cheese. That's very true. They can usually taste a little funky. Like sometimes that cheese name means that you're going to have a little bit more of an earthy kind of taste. Sometimes even an almost cheesy taste.
Well, are we really in it for the taste? I'm just saying.
Yes, absolutely. I am 100%. I was in a Lyft the other day. I had to get a Lyft ride, and my driver was amazing. And she's telling me all these different places and different things to do. And she mentioned something about drinking, and I was like, well, yeah, I'm mostly just a stoner. And she lit right up, and we started talking about weed, of course, which was so much fun.
Here's the thing. Would you ever, be honest now, be honest. Would you be like, oh, that tastes like shit. I don't want any more. Or, you know what? I'll pass. That didn't have a good taste. Like, really?
I guess it depends. But if I don't have anything else to smoke, I'll definitely keep smoking the weed that tastes like shit. Sure, if it gets me high, I'll smoke it. No problem.
Exactly.
But if I have a choice, I'm going for something that tastes good. And that's where the Lyft driver was in total agreement with me. She said she loves something that has a great flavor and a great smoke. She'll grab every time. And I'm the same way. I like something that tastes really good.
I do find it very ironic that, oh, by the way, that's a gorgeous pipe. Oh my God, I wish the people could see it. Beautiful, pretty.
Thank
I
you.
love
I
it.
just got this at a new shop in Riverside. It actually used to have a bumblebee on the top of it. But of course, I broke it because anything glass that I touch,
That's what you do.
that's right, I break. So this one, the bumblebee saved me though. When it fell on the pavement, the bumblebee shattered off, but the bowl is still intact and very cute.
But I find it very great and awesome that the more weed is kind of that legal, accepted, getting into that, you're not just a drug addict if you smoke weed kind of realm. the more you're finding out that every damn person, like your Lyft driver or, the cashier at freaking Walmart or,
100%.
the lawyer down the street, the
I
business
used to
owner,
say all the time, everybody smokes.
but nobody believed you because you were a stoner.
Yeah. But if you drop a couple code words into a conversation, about giving thanks was a good one amongst other pagans, was a good way to identify someone who smoked weed.
Remember
Or
when we used to call it pie?
that's right. We would be like, hey, you got any lime pie?
Yeah, half a pie. I need half a pie. You got an eighth of a pie?
With my brother, it was, well, one of my brothers, it was apples.
That's funny. That's
So
funny.
everybody had those codes, but we all had code words, and you could kind of tell who smoked and who didn't. It seemed like every fucking buddy smoked. And now
Right.
that you can say it,
Now you know everybody's
now
right.
you know for sure. And I love just kind of casually dropping it in conversation.
But I like that it's not so taboo. That there's
Yeah.
something comforting about it. I don't know.
Yeah, finding your tribe. I mean, it's always been really nice to find other people who grew and other people who smoked. And now that we can be much more open about it, we're seeing so many people that do it. And I think it's pretty great. I love it.
But you know what? There I do not want to get into a debate here. I do not.
Ooh, frustrated shell. What's up?
So I go to the store
Mm-hmm.
and I see a sign that says, "We do not accept EBT."
Okay.
You know what EBT is, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the electronic benefit
Thing.
transfer. Yeah.
Yeah. So I see a sign at the weed store that says, "We do not accept EBT." And I was a little high when I went to the weed store. It seemed acceptable. I was not the driver. And I made the comment, well, geez, I hope not. The cashier went off on me. So apparently, they're trying to get it passed where you can use EBT to buy weed for folks that need edibles as medicine. And like EBT is not for medicine A. Like, I don't. I
Well,
am a big weed proponent. I'm a big weed proponent. Like, smoke until you can't smoke anymore. But EBT, really? How are we justifying this?
so EBT is electronic benefits transfer, and it is in use in all 50 states, District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and Guam. And it's like a SNAP supplement, I guess.
Like food stamps,
And you are allowed to buy things other than just food with it.
edibles,
Well, let
really?
me check. I'm checking to see if you're allowed to buy medicine. Because if you're allowed to buy medicine, I would say that
I
yes,
would think medicine. I would think medicine would fall under Medicaid.
I would think so too, but I'm checking to see if you can buy like cough medicine or something with EBT. So because if you can buy like say pain medicine with EBT, then I would say okay.
If they were trying to say that you could do it with Medicaid or Medicare or like my health insurance, like I'm all for it.
Health insurance 100%. We absolutely I think New York State is working on trying to do that. I hope
No
more
shit,
places
really?
are. Yeah, I definitely hope more places are going to find a way to have it covered by insurance
Health
because
insurance, I totally get.
it absolutely should be.
The food stamp benefit, I can't wrap my head around that. Because here's the thing, you cannot buy water with EBT, so that's my bitch.
You can't buy water with EBT.
You cannot buy water with food stamps. You can buy soda, but you can't buy water. Like I said, I'm not trying to like open a can of worms.
If you're allowed to buy medicine, I say you should be able to buy edibles. I absolutely use it as a
I
pain
would have
medicine.
just thought that would have fallen under the Medicaid part, that's all.
And it should definitely fall under the Medicaid part. Absolutely 100% sure. I don't know, but I do want it to be covered as a medicine for sure. Medicaid,
Oh,
Medicare benefits,
absolutely.
health insurance benefits should absolutely cover it.
Absolutely. Like I said, I'm just kind of confused when we start bringing in the food stamps part of it. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, I'm not sure. If you can use EBT or SNAP or food stamp type benefits to buy painkillers, then I say go for it. If not, then no, you shouldn't, I
So,
guess. Anyway,
anyway,
now that we've opened that
now
can of
that I've
worms,
started some controversy here,
last episode was the blood moon, the full moon eclipse. It was also the anniversary of when Charles Wetzel discovered the Riverside monster, the pumpkin-headed cryptid.
ooh, yeah, that's great.
That's right. So I was going to go to Riverside and go to that intersection and see what I could see and bring our homemade Ouija board.
Oh my God. Please tell me you did.
I did. I
Oh my
went.
God. Oh my God. I know that everybody else listening is like saying, oh my God, just like me.
I didn't do the Ouija board. It was pouring fucking rain. I don't know if you heard, but for like 3 days straight, we got nothing but rain.
Yeah, but didn't you kind of need it or something out there? It
Oh,
wasn't
God,
like
anytime.
rowdy.
Rain is always a good thing. We are not built to capture that much rain, unfortunately, but definitely needed. And in the area that I went to where this monster is supposed to have been seen back in the
I
50s,
would have thought rain would have been cooler because it would have been rainy and maybe foggy and creepy.
it was definitely creepy. I was afraid that there was some type of wild animal in the brush. It was very overgrown. Don't see the river. I believe the river dried up quite a while ago.
But was your vibe kind of like something was off?
Super creepy. The vibe was definitely creepy. And it was more than just because I knew there were coyotes in the area. It was certainly kind of a
No, is this
creepy,
like a
mystic vibe.
is this like a dark, secluded crossroady kind of thing, or is there like street
No,
lights? Like what's the atmosphere?
there's a lot of businesses nearby. There's a lot of roads nearby, and there's quite a
Okay.
few highways and stuff nearby.
So
So
it's not secluded per se.
not really, no, no. And I did ask a couple people at the nearby businesses if they had ever heard of this cryptid. None of them had.
Did they look at you like you were some freaking weirdo?
Yes, they did.
Love it.
I
Love
tried
it.
though. For the sake of this show, I went in and I sacrificed my pride. And I asked if they had ever heard of Charles Wetzel or the Riverside pumpkin-headed cryptid. And no, they had not.
You know who you needed to look for? You needed to look for like some nice elderly lady making soup or in a rocking chair, and she would have told you all the dirt.
Right? I did find a better story of Charles Wetzel, which I will tell you quickly before we get into our main stories of the evening.
Do tell, do tell.
So I found out that he was driving home that night, again, November 8th, 1958. And this version of the story mentions where North Main Street crosses the Santa Ana River. So he noticed that his radio all of a sudden went to static. And at the same time that his music went to static, a creature jumped from the brush at the side of the road onto his car. It landed right on the front of his car, and it had a round pumpkin scarecrow looking head.
Can I just interrupt you and say that if my radio went static in that atmosphere and something jumped on my car, my first thought would be alien. And that could be because of the movies. But
Oh,
I'm just
yeah.
thinking, what the hell ship just dropped out of the sky?
He said, quote, like something out of Halloween, it wasn't human. It had longer arms than anything I'd ever seen. When it saw me in the car, it reached all the way back to the windshield and began clawing me. So from the front of the car, from the front of the bumper,
Like vine arms.
yep, it reached the windshield and around into his open window and started clawing him. And he said it didn't have any ears. The face was all round. The eyes were shining like something fluorescent, and it had a protuberant mouth. He later said that the thing's legs stuck sideways out from its body, and its skin looked scaly like leaves.
Oh, wow. I
This
love it.
He said he reached for a 22 caliber pistol that he had under the seat, and he was going to shoot at the thing, and then he changed his mind and decided to floor it instead and got away. He said it tumbled off his roof, the roof of the car, to the ground, and he went straight to the police station, the Riverside Police Station, right in downtown Riverside, California. They noted, and there's a police report where they noted scratches on the hood and windshield and oily green streaks on the underside and the sides of the car.
No shit.
They went to the scene later with bloodhounds and didn't find anything. But the next night, another spooked driver went to the police station with an almost identical story of what had happened to him in the same spot. But no one else saw it until the 70s when Bigfoot-like tracks were found around the Santa Ana River in that area. And then once the river dried up, no sightings have been seen. But when I went there, it was very, very wet. It was pouring down rain. And that was the one area that had like a misty fog over it. And it was definitely spooky. But I didn't see anything. And I didn't stay for very long because it was very cold and very wet.
So no other reports since those.
None. And like I said, other than thinking I might have been some creepy cryptid, the the locals had no idea and hadn't heard of it. They'd never even heard of Charles Wetzel or the Pumpkinhead Riverside River Monster.
Dear Riverside, California, Layla is a cryptid. It's been
That's
verified. It's been
right.
verified.
I am a small bridge troll of an undeterminate type. So I'm going to pack another bowl in this. I do love this. While I went up there, I did get this while I was researching that story and hoping that the rain would break long enough I could bring the Ouija board out there. So I'm going to pack this nice big bowl. It's super cute, even though the little bead broke off of it.
It's very fall looking.
Isn't it adorable? It almost looks like one of those honey sticks, you know, those honey
Yeah,
tools that you
yeah.
get. It was quite cute with the bee on it. I'm so sad that the bee broke off.
Happens.
Considering my luck with
You'll just
glass,
have to get another. You'll
that's
just have
right.
to get another.
It's not like it cost that much. It was $18 for this bowl. So,
Damn.
yeah, it's not like it was anything expensive. Mass-produced glass. I am saving my pennies and getting yet another glass piece from the Woody guy that I got that Woody Gandalf from. I'm going to get
Oh
another one of those.
yeah. We talked about him in an episode. I'd have to look
Yeah.
back.
Super nice stuff, but very
I'm still on
expensive.
that. I'm still on the silicone kick. Can't lie. I think it's the cap. I love having a top.
Oh, yeah. So convenient. I loved having that when we were walking around Salem. It was so nice to just be able to pop it back in your bag or in a
Take a
pocket.
hit, cap it. Take a hit,
Mm-hmm.
cap it.
Because I don't want to, I don't want to
No
smoke
burn.
around other people, so we'd go someplace private. And if
But you
people
also
showed
don't
up,
want burn marks in your pockets from where it might have
exactly.
fallen out or so the cap is actually super convenient and I love it. If they had caps for glass, I'd be totally down.
I just try to puff it really fast and finish it. And
True.
get to suck it all down and get it in there. Well, so I know I did just tell a story, but I'm kind of eager to tell you my story this evening because it's
Ooh.
something that's kind of famous, so famous that it's popular on Netflix right now.
Oh my God.
Right?
There's so many things you could be talking about right now. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Now, this week I'm doing a story out of New Jersey. It's an East Coast story, and I normally do a West Coast story, but Shell stole the UFO stories from me last week. So I decided I was going to steal a story that I have been super interested in from her. I started researching the Watcher House, thinking it was a West Coast story, and I kind of abandoned it once I found out it was an East Coast story. But since Shell stole my West Coast UFOs last week, I'm stealing the Watcher from her on the East Coast this week.
Oh my God. I have been enthralled by that damn TV show. It's okay. I'll let you have it.
I know I had to do it. I'm sorry.
But oh my God, like I'm enthralled with this. It's okay.
I decided I needed to do it, even though Netflix did it, because they faked it. Nothing in that series is real.
Did they pull an Amityville horror?
We'll get to that in a minute, but the no 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 the letters really happened. Everything really happened there. There are some people that think it was possibly an Amityville horror, but the series doesn't exactly tell the truth.
All right, it's like The Crown, damn it.
The Broaddus family, who the story is about, they wanted the people in the story to not resemble them at all. In the Netflix version, they have two teenage children, and in real life, they have three children that are, I believe, 10, 8, and 5, roughly, at the time it all happened. But three kids under 10, and a lot of the details in the story itself were also kind of faked. So basically, the Netflix series is a dramatization of what
Right,
happened.
but that's what TV is.
So I figured I would do this and tell you what really happened. What we've got here is a house on 657 Boulevard. And basically, that's it.
Which I feel like everybody is like going to right now because of Netflix, and I actually kind of feel bad for the neighbors.
Yeah, I did read quite a bit. I tried to stick to some older sources. I wanted to get some original things that were going on, but ever since the Netflix series came out, they have asked for people to kind of leave the new owners alone and to kind of stay away.
Right.
It's a sleepy upscale town in Westfield, New Jersey, and Boulevard, that's it. It's not like Main Boulevard or Jefferson Boulevard. It's just Boulevard is the name of the street. So Boulevard is where all the really fancy houses in Westfield were built. That's where if you're the upper class, that's where you would want your houses. And 657, I guess, was one of the grander houses on the whole street itself. This all started in 2014. June of 2014, Derek and Maria Broaddus decided they were going to go live in Maria's hometown of Westfield. And of course, she had her heart set on Boulevard, where all the nicest houses were. They decided to buy 657, which is a Dutch colonial shingle-style house built in 1905. It has 6 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, and is a kind of unwieldy 3,869 square feet.
Damn.
Right? And they bought the house that June of 2014 for $1.4 million.
I'll take it.
Right? Wish I had that kind of cash. So they started moving their belongings into the house between June and August, shortly after Derek turned 40. But they never ended up living there.
Why would you buy a house like that and not live there?
See, this is where things get kind of creepy. Shortly after they purchased the house, June of 2014, Derek had been working on the house doing some painting and things until late in the evening. And he decided to go check the mail. Now, keep in mind, this house never went for sale publicly. There was never a for sale sign in the road. It was never like for sale on Zillow. It kind of went up for sale quietly. There were a few people that were interested, and then it sold to the Broadduses. So nothing was ever really public. Derek goes and gets the mail, and there's just a couple things, a few bills, and in it is a card-shaped envelope, stamped and addressed in very kind of shaky handwriting, almost like somebody was trying to write in a different style or maybe was writing with a non-dominant hand.
Weird.
And it was addressed to the new owner. You want to hear the letter?
Oh boy, what is it?
I couldn't find full versions of these letters, but I was able to piece together as much as I could of them. So I'm going to read to you what I've got. And it might not be in exactly the right order, but this is what I could find.
Okay.
So this letter that looked like some type of birthday card type letter or whatever, he opens it up and it says, "Dearest new neighbor at 657 Boulevard, allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood. How did you end up here? Did 657 Boulevard call to you with its force within? 657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades now, and as it approaches its 110th birthday, I have been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, and my father watched in the 1960s. It is now my time. Do you know the history of the house? Do you know what lies within the walls of 657 Boulevard? Why are you here? I will find out. Do you need to fill the house with the young blood I requested? Better for me. Was your old house too small for the growing family? Or was it greed to bring me your children? Once I know their names, I will call to them and draw them to me. Who am I? Hundreds of cars pass by the house every single day. Maybe I am in one. Check all of the windows that can be seen from 657 Boulevard. Perhaps I am in one. Welcome, my friends, welcome. Let the party begin." And it was signed in a really elaborate cursive font, The Watcher.
That's fucked up.
So this is just a couple days after they move into their start moving into their brand new house. They're doing a few renovations. And they decide to just kind of continue on with the renovations because this is just really freaky.
Wouldn't we all?
Right? They reached out to the previous owners. After getting this really weird letter, they kind of asked the previous owners, the Woodses, if they had ever gotten anything strange or any letter from someone calling themselves the Watcher. Because it sounds like this person has been kind of watching the house for a very long time, or their family has. That's the implication anyway.
It's what they say.
So the Woodses get back to them and say, actually, yes. They'd lived there for 23 years and had never received anything until shortly before they moved out. Right after the house was closed on by the Broadduses, they said they got one letter and they thought it was really weird, and it talked about thanking them for taking care of the house. But that was pretty much it. And they just thought it was odd and threw it away. Then later in June, the Broadduses get a second letter from the Watcher, and this one now mentions them by name, even though it's not spelled correctly. It says, "Mr. and Mrs. Broaddus, welcome again to your new home at 657 Boulevard. I am pleased to know your names now and the name of the young blood you have brought to me. You certainly say their names often. The letter mentioned the children by names and their nicknames, but of course it wasn't included anywhere for the safety of the kids. It also mentioned one of their daughters, their youngest daughter, and it mentioned seeing them doing art at an easel on an enclosed porch that can only be seen by just a few houses in the neighborhood have access to be able to see that. But it said, is she the artist in the family? 657 Boulevard is anxious for you to move in. It has been years and years since the young blood ruled the hallways of the house. Have you found all of the secrets it holds yet? Will the young blood play in the basement, or are they too afraid to go down there alone? I would be very afraid if I were them. It is far away from the rest of the house. If you were upstairs, you would never hear them scream. Will they sleep in the attic, or will you all sleep on the second floor? Who has the bedrooms facing the street? I'll know as soon as you move in. It will help me know who is in which room. Then I can plan better. It says, all of the windows and doors in 657 Boulevard allow me to watch you and track you as you move through the house. Who am I? I am the watcher and have been in control of 657 Boulevard for the better part of 2 decades now. The Woods family turned it over to you. It was their time to move on and kindly sold it when I asked them to. The workers have been busy, and I have been watching you unload carfuls of your personal belongings. The dumpster is a nice touch. Have they found what is in the walls yet? In time they will. The house is crying from all the pain it is going through. You have changed it and made it so fancy. You are stealing its history. It cries for the past and what it used to be in the time when I roamed its halls. The 60s were a good time for 657 Boulevard when I ran from room to room, imagining the life with the rich occupants there. The house was full of life and young blood. Then it got old, and so did my father. But he kept watching until the day he died, and now I watch and wait for the day when the young blood will be mine again. I pass by many times a day. 657 Boulevard is my job, my life, my obsession. And now you are too, Broaddus family. Welcome to the product of your greed. Greed is what brought the past 3 families to 657 Boulevard, and now it has brought you to me. Have a happy moving in day. You know I will be watching. Signed again in a different, very elaborate cursive font, The Watcher.
Now, some of that was included in the Netflix series, I remember. Now, I would be creeped out, yes, but some of it just doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know. He says he asked the other family to move out, and they said they never got a letter.
Right. And when they asked the Woods about that part, they said, no one had asked them to move out. They had just, they had just decided to. They really had legitimately just gotten the one letter. Other people believe that they've also gotten letters throughout the history of the house and just didn't want to say anything.
They were just like, oh my God, don't ask, don't tell,
right,
kind of thing.
That is, of course, the rumor, but there's no proof of that. And the Woodses themselves say they never got anything. And
but they must not have gotten too much, or they wouldn't have stayed there 23 years, because if you were that freaked out, you don't stay.
Right, exactly. So Maria is the one who'd found the second letter, and it came 2 weeks after the first letter arrived, and she had recognized the lettering on the front of it and immediately called the police and told them about it. But the police weren't very helpful.
Shocker. No offense.
Yeah, basically, although it's creepy, and I'd be scared. I mean, they talk about
not a crime.
Right. They talk about hearing the children scream from the basement and young blood and have they found what's in the walls. And I mean, it sounds kind of stalkery, but no real crime has been committed.
Just watching.
They're just watching. The Broadduses were not happy. I mean, this letter mentioned their kids' names, their kids' nicknames. It talked about
I would feel violated. You would feel violated. As a parent, you'd be like, what the actual fuck?
Yeah, and that's exactly how they felt. They were scared. They were invited to a barbecue shortly after they'd gotten the first letter, and they were so creeped out. They kept yelling for their kids. They didn't want to let them out of their sight. And
I would suspect every neighbor, to be honest. Literally, I'd suspect, especially the ones that had access to a view to that one room.
Absolutely. And they did contact FBI agents. They did contact private detectives and the CIA
to no
avail.
To get
help. Yeah. They got a profile of who the person could be. They did also get some DNA from underneath where someone would have licked the envelope on, I believe, the second or third letter, and determined that it was from a woman.
Oh.
And the family, the Broadduses, were ruled out. They were not a DNA match. And they did actually go up and down the street getting DNA from anyone who would let them have it, and they could not find a match. There were some neighbors that were kind of high on the suspicion list, including like a creepy old lady
Yeah,
with,
but side question.
yeah.
So a private investigator knocks on your door. Hey, Layla, I'm Detective Shell. So we got this funky issue going on. Would you mind spitting in this tube? Are you going to be like, oh, yeah, sure, hand it over. Let me just wad up a freaking spit wad for you.
Fuck no.
I'm not suspicious, but I ain't giving my spit to some rando who knocks on my door either.
Exactly. I also would not either. I am a paranoid. No, it just would not happen. There's no way. I'm
I'd
too
give you my
paranoid.
wallet before I'd give you my spit.
Right. It's not happening. So I imagine that happened, but they did say most people were pretty willing to do it.
Probably because they were creeped out too.
Right. So the letters also mentioned renovations that were happening, and none of the renovations were visible from outside the house.
Oh.
Neighbors weren't even really aware that renovations were happening. So it would seem that this watcher had some sort of inside knowledge or was watching enough to see people coming and going.
Wired with cameras.
They did. They set up web cameras all over the house, and Derek even said he went a little bit wacky during that
No, I think the
time.
watcher had cameras.
Oh, possibly. But Derek and Maria Broaddus set up their own cameras all over the house. And he also would spend a not good amount of time with the lights out, kind of staking out the house, watching outside to see who was going by and if anybody would look suspicious or come up on
He
the
basically
porch.
became the most paranoid man alive.
Exactly. He really did. I did not watch the series. I watched the first episode. One of the things I thought they did well was like pretty much everyone was a suspect. As you start digging into this story, everyone is a suspect. The Broaddus family is a suspect. The neighbors with the adult sons that are a little on the not neurotypical side, they were suspects. There was a couple that had been interested in buying the house that bought a house like just a few streets over. They were suspect. They ended up actually buying the house from the Broadduses later, but we'll get to that.
Oh.
The real estate agent was a suspect. Pretty much everybody was a suspect.
Did they ever hire like a psychic?
I don't know if they went to a psychic or not. I do
would've.
know they did hire a priest to come bless the house. So they did have their priest come bless it. They also got a new alarm system installed on the home. Derek even posted like on Craigslist or something looking for people to come guard the house with military experience. And he wanted them to just exercise in the backyard to kind of give the impression that there were military type people there at all times. He even looked into getting like trained German shepherds. They realized
That's such a man thing.
right? The house was sounding more and more like a prison and less like a dream home. So they didn't move in. They kind of stayed with Maria's parents in Westfield. So they're still paying this huge mortgage, including the loan they had gotten for all the renovations.
Without living there.
Without living there. They hadn't really told anybody about the letters at this time. And then in July, now that they haven't been staying there, they got a third letter from the Watcher.
Oh, shit.
This letter wanted to know why they had gone and said that the house was missing them. And it said, 657 Boulevard is turning on me. It is coming after me. I don't understand why. What spell did you cast on it? It used to be my friend, and now it is my enemy. I am in charge of 657 Boulevard. It is not in charge of me. I will fend off its bad things and wait for it to become good again. It will not punish me. I will rise again. I will be patient and wait for this to pass and for you to bring the young blood back to me. 657 Boulevard needs young blood. It needs you. Come back. Let the young blood play again like I once did. Let the young blood sleep in 657 Boulevard. Stop changing it and let it alone.
Like, is young blood like a new generation or like sacrifices? Can we at least clear that part up?
It sounds like an old-fashioned saying.
Like the next generation?
Yeah, just like young blood, like the next generation. But it sounds so
That makes
creepy
it
like this.
But it makes it less creepy if that's the intent as opposed to like young blood, you
Right?
know?
But that is one of the things that when they had a forensic analysis done on the letters, There was a few things that pointed to an older person, and using the phrase young blood was one of them. It was also
Used in the verbiage, yeah.
right. It was also double spaced after each period, which is something only older people who learned on a typewriter would do. And some of the phraseology that was used was also kind of indicated an older person. So between that and the DNA on the envelope, they're pretty sure they were looking for an older woman, possibly someone who was interested in the house or someone who felt they had a connection to the house, or just someone kind of pulling a prank, but they didn't know. And the Broadduses were getting more and more nervous. So after the third letter, they definitely don't go back to the house. In the town, the rumors were kind of flying, and everyone had started to hear about this.
I would totally live there.
So in February of 2015, they decide to sell it because they can't live there. They can't make the payments on it. They're just too creeped out. So they're going to try and sell it. They list it for $1.5 million, which is a little more than they bought it for because they said they put over $100,000 of renovations into it. However, the first time they showed it, the realtor called them back and asked them about the letters because they said that the potential buyers had heard some rumors in town and there was all sorts of crazy rumors going on and they just wanted to clear it up and wanted to know exactly what was happening. So the Broadduses decided to mention the letters and they told them what was going on.
Bad move.
However, anyone that learned about the letters backed out and was not interested. So they lowered the price to $1.39 million. And people continue to be scared off by these letters. May 14th, 2015, house is still on the market. They lowered again to $1.25 million. In June of 2015, they filed a lawsuit against the Woodses, saying that they knew about these letters and that they should have disclosed the letters before the sale. In the lawsuit, they seek a full refund of the $1.3 million they paid for the house, money for the renovation expenses, attorney fees, and triple damages, along with the title to the house. So they want to be refunded, get all their damages refunded, their loan refunded, and keep the title to the house too.
Want their cake and eat it too?
I guess that part seems very odd to me. So they try to seal the documents, but unfortunately, news of this has gotten out to the press, and these letters have leaked to the press, and now there's stories going on about this house. And in July of 2015, the Westfield Leader publishes an article with anonymous quotes from their neighbors, and the neighbors are saying they don't think any renovations actually took place, and they feel that the Broadduses did these letters themselves. Derek and Maria decide to buy another house in Westfield, and they get a loan and buy it privately using an LLC, I believe, so they don't have to disclose where they bought this house because there's so much rumors and so much stuff going on now in town about this house.
They want to hide.
They want to hide. So the house is rented to a couple with adult children and several large dogs who say are not afraid of the Watcher. And in February of 2017, a fourth letter arrives. And it was coincidentally, possibly, dated February 13th, which was the same date that the Broadduses were in court giving a deposition against the Woodses. And that letter, it says, "To the vile and spiteful Derek and his wench of a wife, Maria. You wonder who the Watcher is? Turn around, idiots. Maybe you even spoke to me, one of the so-called neighbors who has no idea who the Watcher could be. Or maybe you do know and are too scared to tell anyone. Good move."
That's weird.
Right? The couple also decided, at one point they decided to solve their problems, they would tear down the house, subdivide the property into two properties, and build two new houses on it.
Oh.
Because the property was 3 inches too short, they had to get special permission from the town. So they took the town to court in order to get this special permission, and they were denied. So this fourth letter that went to the renters mentions that and taunted them about this proposal being rejected. I guess the Watcher was kind of pissed off at the whole idea that they were going to subdivide the property and kind of suggested that they wanted to harm the family.
Oh, that's illegal. That's where it gets illegal.
The Broaddus' lawsuit against the Woodses gets thrown out and lose their bid to subdivide the property as well. In December of 2017, several neighbors in the area all got handwritten, personally delivered, so like not post-stamped or anything, letters signed Friends of the Broaddus family. Basically, they were delivered to people who had been vocally against the Broadduses subdividing the property. Those letters were traced back to Derek Broaddus. He did that.
Oh,
Yeah. So in 2018, the story kind of blows up online and people are hearing about the Watcher all over. And in December of 2018 is when the Broadduses signed the contract with Netflix. Reportedly, they only made enough money to cover how much they lost on the house because they did end up selling the house.
that's what they all say.
They sold the house in July of 2019 to the Carr family, Andrew and Allison Carr, for $959,000.
Oh, wow.
And reportedly, they only made about $500,000 from the Netflix deal.
Yeah, right.
Oh. So super creepy, though, right? I mean, who's the Watcher?
It is super creepy. It is super creepy, but you would think that somebody, whether it's some local yokel police guy or a private investigator with a bug up his butt, somebody would have looked into this and nobody has. How come nobody has?
Well, they did hire, Derek reached out to a former FBI agent that he actually had been on the high school board of trustees with. So he knew him on a personal level. And this former FBI agent's name was Robert Lenahan, who happened to be the inspiration for the character of Clarice Starling in The Silence of the Lambs.
Ooh.
So this FBI agent tried to use the letters and did kind of like profiling to conduct a threat assessment. And he's the one who said that the way that the letters were addressed to like M/M for Mr. and Mrs. Broaddus
made it look elderly or
that's right. So the way it was signed, some of the double spacing, a few of the things, he determined that it was an older person that did it. He also felt that the writer would not probably act on the threats made in the letters, but they definitely somehow had a way to view into the home. They could see this back porch that could only be seen from certain angles, and they heard the names of the children, even the nicknames of the children. They knew the layout of the house, so they were familiar with it and obviously had to be somewhat close. But he didn't feel that anyone was going to hurt him. So there were investigations that were done, but nobody could find it. The closest they got was that little bit of DNA showing that it was a woman. They hired private investigators, but
crazy.
The new owners say they have not gotten any letters. There are some theories that say that maybe the new owners did it because they did buy a house shortly after the Broadduses bought 657 Boulevard, very near it. And then they were one of the first people when the price dropped
to get it.
Yeah, right. Some people say that maybe they had wanted to buy the house, didn't win it, and so
figured out a way to get it.
Right. Went on an Amityville type campaign to lower the price. But it doesn't really make sense. They would have had to wait years. I mean, that seems kind of silly. And the Woodses said that there were a couple other bidders on the house, but they backed out for perfectly explainable reasons. Like one of them, I believe, was a health issue, and one was they just couldn't get the financing. So there was no jilted homeowner or anything like that. The Broadduses were ruled out. Their DNA didn't match. There are some suspicious things that made people kind of think it could have been the Broadduses. They did have, I believe, 12 mortgages in the space of 10 years.
Holy shit. And they traced the letters to the neighbors back to them.
That's exactly right. So he kind of did do something similar, but he did admit to that part of it. And like, what would the point be? I mean, if they were in the habit of buying properties and kind of like flipping them to get a better property, some people think maybe they saw this 657 Boulevard as a way to, maybe their whole plan had been to get a reason to tear down the house and then build two houses and sell them each for $1 million and maybe make money that way.
Or get a Netflix movie contract.
They didn't make a lot from the Netflix movie contract and they lost a lot on the house. So it doesn't really make sense that it would, like, why? If it was the Broadduses, why? What would the point be? The Amityville people did it to get out of their mortgage, but the Broadduses just could have sold it, and they would have sold it if it weren't for the letters. So it doesn't make sense that they would have written the letters to themselves. So I don't know. It just seems like a very creepy, unsolved mystery. What do you think? You just sound over it. Is this another
Like, I don't
Amityville to you? Are you
know.
having Amityville flashbacks of like you wanted it to be creepier and it just turned out to be the family all along?
I just feel like somebody should have been able to trace it by now.
That's why it was a ghost, because they haven't been able to trace it. It's some sort of supernatural watcher people. Otherwise, they would have been able to find him. That's my theory.
Yeah, but he talked about his dad dying and now it was his turn.
His supernatural dad and his supernatural they're the watcher people and they just watch this house.
Could be. It could
Well,
be.
it could be. It could happen.
We'll never know.
We won't. Dun, dun, dun. So that's the story I stole from the East Coast, the Watcher House. Definitely creepy. And my personal opinion is it's absolutely some sort of cryptid, some sort of ghost people or Okay. Poltergeist, it's something. It's something creepy. I mean, I'm totally buying that 3 generations plus of watchers have been watching this house. I did find when it was built back in the early 1900s, it changed hands for $1 3 different times.
Oh, wow.
Right?
That's
weird. So I'm saying that there is some sort of generational mystic type entity family that is in charge of watching this house. That's my theory.
Well, we'll see how it plays out on Netflix.
I'll have to watch the Netflix thing and see how that comes out. I did love how they made everybody a suspect, because really everybody kind of is at this point.
And they really actually had good characters that made kind of crazy neighbors. It was a good show.
Fun. Yeah, I like the everyone kind of, the whole Twin Peaks theme where everyone is a suspect.
Everyone did it.
Everyone did it. They've all got secrets that the watcher knows.
It's kind of funny that you did like your pumpkin cryptid guy and some weird entity thing.
Right?
I'm going to Bluefield, West Virginia. Have you ever heard of Bluefield, West Virginia?
I never have.
Okay. Have you ever heard of the Lake Shawnee Abandoned Amusement Park? Because I want to go there.
No.
Like,
but
I want to go
now
there.
I am super intrigued and I want to go there. That sounds so spooky.
Think of a full-blown amusement park that people just walked away from. All the rides are there. They're all rusted. They're all overgrown.
They just left it?
Shit just left.
I love pictures of abandoned places like that. They are so eerie.
Now, we'll just jump right into the depths of it.
Why did they abandon it? Is it haunted? Was there a monster there? Is it cryptid? Did a murder happen there? Tell me, Shell.
Lots of stuff happened there.
Really? Oh,
Lots
I'm so excited. Okay.
Lots of bad stuff.
Oh, well, that's not exciting.
So a lot of people in Mercer County think that basically the land was cursed before they even started using it.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
before it even became, why would you build a carnival on top of cursed land? Don't people watch movies? Don't they go to the movies?
Well, this was before movies.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, obviously I'll get to the prehistory of it, but some of Lake Shawnee's issues begin in the late 1700s.
Oh, wow.
That
far back.
It actually a little further, but we aren't jumping to that quite yet. So late 1700s, a man by the name of Mitchell Clay brought his family out west. This is when people were going out west.
Getting dysentery.
Right. So he established, him and his family, an 800-acre farm, and he raised 14 children on it.
Whoa. That's a scary story right there. 14 kids.
God,
frightening.
2 is plenty. Like, I only got 2 arms and 2 eyes here, people.
14?
So, 14 people, 800 acres.
And they didn't even do that for a TV show.
Check out this shit. So in 1783, a Native American tribe slew 2 of the children while Mitchell was out hunting.
Did he even know that they were gone?
They kidnapped one of the boys named Ezekiel, and they burned him at the stake.
Oh, poor Ezekiel. Those poor kids.
So Clay decided to retaliate. Mitchell Clay retaliated with the help of other settlers, because these were new settlers. He had tracked down several Native Americans and killed them. Obviously, as you can imagine, that homestead was never the same.
Yeah, 3 kids killed, one burned alive, and then, in
Yeah.
retaliation, other people are killed. Yeah, that's bad.
You don't hear much about the land, and nothing's really going on with that 800 acres. So that's like what I say, 1783. So fast forward, all of a sudden in 1920, a man named Snitto.
I smoked too much weed for that name. What's the name again?
How do I always come up with the names that are like fucked up?
What is it again?
Snitto. So
Snitto.
he
Okay.
shows up and he's got rides and attractions. He's got circular swings, a water slide, creates a dance hall, a speakeasy.
It's
He add,
Snitto's Circus.
yeah, he added a pond, a swimming hole, and like canoes, the whole bit.
Snitto's got money.
Yeah, but at some point things went awry.
Oh no. Poor Snitto.
A little girl died on the swings. A boy
Oh.
drowned in the pond.
Oh shit.
In all, roughly 6 visitors died
Oh wow.
during the amusement park.
Probably no safety features back in the day.
Nah,
And Snitto probably didn't give a fuck.
no. In 1966, it was abandoned,
Wow.
like just walked away. So all of the beautifully colored rides, all of the shiny shit just started to
Probably
fade and
slunk
flake.
away into the shadows to avoid getting lynched or sued for all the people that died there.
Well, then,
Snitto the circus dude is sleazy.
and then, come to find out 20 years after that, so that would have been like
So it
roughly
stayed abandoned for 2 decades.
another 2 decades. Yep. So it seemed like it had stayed abandoned for 200 years and
Wow.
then gets abandoned for another 20. So like mid 80s. So in the
Mhm.
mid 80s, a man named Gaylord White thought that he'd take this little sleepy meadow and make it into a neighborhood.
Okay. Are any of the old swings and things still there?
All of it,
Okay.
every bit of it.
All broken down,
Ferris wheel, the whole kit.
broken down, rusty, crappy, and deadly.
And
Deadlier.
like vines and shit growing.
Probably looked cool, but not functional.
So Gaylord White brings in his construction crew and they start digging. And they
Oh
start,
no.
yeah, they start unearthing bones.
Now, not only are they disturbing a site where children were killed back in the day, Native Americans were killed in retaliation, 6 people died in the recent decades. Now they're going to go and fuck around and dig there. And they found bones.
Unearthed bones and Native American artifacts. So,
That's going to rile up some energy right there.
interesting fact, the amusement park, long story short, was built on an ancient burial ground and most of the skeletons belong to children.
Of a children's burial ground. Great. Great.
A children's native burial
And
ground.
kids were killed there. Settler kids were killed there on top of this native burial ground.
Now, archaeologists do believe that the remains were there long before the settlers, so they do believe they were Native American.
The settlers settled on top of this children's burial ground, and then their children were killed.
So the question is they think that the Clay family was cursed for going there.
I think so too. And then somebody would be drawn. What kind of sick bastard would be drawn to this cursed area full of dead kids that would then build a kid attractant there?
Well, what happened was this white guy decided, he was like, I ain't gonna mess with that shit. And he just left it and walked away. Rides intact, the whole thing. So the rides are still there. Everything is there. They actually do a tour in October called the Dark Carnival.
Oh, no shit. Who owns it now?
I believe it's the county, if I'm not mistaken.
So they do so they play up on the fact that it's haunted.
They do.
And has lots of bodies and a very scary, shitty history.
And it's like
spooky.
You have to like make an appointment, it's like an appointment only thing. But they think that basically, like you said, you've got this Native American burial ground that was kind of earmarked for children, which that was a practice that they had. And then you have an amusement park, or no, then you have a family on there where natives were killed, children were killed violently. So
Right.
you've got a burial ground of children, then children killed violently.
Then people killed in retaliation for that.
Right. And so, as you can imagine, there's apparitions of children. They're hearing playing, they're hearing screaming children, they're hearing what sounds like Ezekiel burning at the stake.
Oh,
I mean, all
wow.
the things you'd think you'd hear, you'd hear.
That sounds awful.
Shadow people, people hear Native American drumming, the whole everything that you would think that you'd experience on this land, you experience on this land. Why would they? I don't know. Is it best to leave it?
Wow.
Take down the rides? Like, I don't even know what you would do. Like, do you just leave it? I don't
I don't
know.
know. I think from what we've found in the other stories that we've come across is that anything they do is going to rile up the ghosts. I mean, if you take it down, they're going to get disturbed. If you renovate it, they're going to get disturbed. I mean, anything that happens there is going to kind of.
But the theme here is that children seem to be the target here. Notice I didn't say any of these adults died.
Right.
Children died at the amusement park. The original owner, Clay, it was his children that were taken by the Indians. There's something that's not good for kids there. So, of course, they built a fucking amusement park. Go figure.
Right? What made that guy build an amusement park there? The energy had to be off the charts bad.
But
What would have drawn him to build an amusement park that's specifically made for children? He had to have felt something. Did he do it on purpose?
but it's bad enough that no one will touch it still, like one of those don't ask, don't tell places.
Right, right. Wow. I can't believe it stayed open long enough for 6 children to die. I mean, after the first one, you'd think
Yeah, but
two,
you got to
maybe they would
figure,
close it.
back in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, like you said, there wasn't no safety shit. The care and concern wasn't necessarily the same as what we do today.
Right, right. That's true. Very true.
I mean, just remember, you and I were kids that grew up with no car seats or seat belts, for God's sakes.
Right? Safety measures? What were those?
So this is like a very tainted land. Like I said, it seems to be targeted to kids, in my opinion.
Ooh,
I just think the eeriness of having the amusement park stuff still there. Like, I think this place would be eerie to begin with, but you add that stuff.
oh, yeah.
Holy crap.
Creep
Um,
factor 11.
there have been folks that have gone there that weren't able to stay more than an hour because they said that the screaming, crying children that they heard just was so overwhelming and didn't
No
stop, that it was
shit.
just nonstop.
Oh, I want to go.
I know, right?
I want to take the Ouija boards and go.
Other than the actual kid related noises, the only other things people hear is like native drumming. Everything else is either playing or crying or screaming that is definitely childlike. Apparitions seem to be mostly kids. There's been apparitions of someone thought they saw like a native circle, like a group of Native Americans in like a tribal circle.
I'm kind of sad that with this much Native American activity and that it was possibly a native burial ground that this hasn't been given back to any tribes in the area or anyone who might have ancestral claim to it. I'm a little sad that they haven't been allowed to have it back. Because if anybody
Honestly,
could take care of it and put those spirits, kind of to rest and to rededicate that land, I would think it would be the people whose ancestors are buried there.
you know what's unfortunate though?
What's that?
We live in a day and age where if you put those spirits to rest, that's no longer a moneymaker.
Good point. Good point. Capitalism and ghosts at his finest.
So it definitely is a place to check out.
Sad, creepy,
It's
sad.
it's got a lot of layers to it
Yeah.
for sure.
What an unfortunate history.
I think that it's definitely one of those places that's just not good. Bad stuff happened there, and then bad stuff kept happening there.
Stuff like it, where you take like cherished childhood things and then turn them evil and creepy, that just scares the fuck out of me. That
And
type of
that's
stuff.
what this place is.
Exactly. I'd love to go there and take pictures just because of that creep factor. I mean, that's super scary. Imagine the type of atmosphere that it has. I bet when you walk onto that property, even if you're trying to be respectful of the graves that were there before all this happened, I imagine it's still going to just be so spooky and so creepy. And I bet there's so many experiences there. The orb photos would probably be phenomenal.
When you see the pictures online, I mean, just looking at it, you just get that vibe.
I believe it. Oh, I'll have to look up some of the pictures because I love pictures of abandoned places, especially abandoned places that have paranormal activity attached to them. They do kind of have a vibe right when you look at them.
They do.
We'll have to see if we can find some and put them on the Instagram and see how creepy they are.
And I mean, there's nothing like a Ferris wheel that's got overgrown vines growing up it.
Right? Oh my gosh. And swings that are kind of like gently moving on their own.
Well, and that's the other thing, they do see things like the swing is moving and I can't think of what it's called, like a merry-go-round thing will start moving around on its own.
Oh, no way. If that like carousel music starts coming, I am out. I am so gone.
There are still balls all over the place and balls will start moving. Like I said, it's all very like childlike activity.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like it. That would definitely be a creeptacular place to go. Very,
Right?
very interesting to go explore. I totally want to explore it. However, conversely, do not go to 657 Boulevard.
Do not.
Please stop.
Do not.
Apparently, once the Netflix show started, people started going to this house and trying to take pictures at it, trying to go on the property. Just leave the people alone. If there's a watcher there, maybe they need privacy to deliver another letter. I don't know, but stop going.
But yeah, you actually can go visit the amusement park at Lake Shawnee. You do have to make an appointment. It's not like you can just go there. It is private.
Well, we are adding that to our round the country bucket list. Putting that for when we're hopping in the schoolie to do our round the trip tour. We will make an appointment and we'll go for sure.
So I think those are our stories for tonight.
I think those are our stories for tonight. So thank you all for joining us on episode 43 of the Stoned Witches Hour. Tune in next week on Wednesday at 4:20 a.m. for episode 44 of the Stoned Witches Hour. I have no idea what we'll be talking about, but it'll be something creepy. And this time I'll stay on my half of the USA and Shell will stay on her eastern half of the USA. And we'll come up with maybe some cool cryptid or ghosty stories or urban legends or spooky true crime.
We'll have something spectacular for you folks.
Definitely. And we will have all sorts of the electric lettuce, right?
Electric
That's the other
lettuce.
one. So we'll be smoking more of top-notch devil's lettuce, including probably more of my homegrown Alaskan Thunderfuck because I am a broke bitch and the holidays are coming.
I really just love the devil's lettuce. I just got to say that one more time.
Right? Devil's lettuce. So much fun. All right. So everyone, stay high, stay happy, and stay safe out there.
Peace out, sauerkraut.